Hello, everyone. Thanks for downloading this episode of the Nerdball Podcast. I'm your host, Lorenzo Melcher, coming to you from PB Studios in my parents' basement. As always, I appreciate everything you do to help the podcast grow. Like, share, subscribe, download. Anything you can do is much appreciated. Like I said last week, I am hopefully getting back into the social media stuff. It is hard with time, but I think if I can bank these episodes, it gives me a little bit more time to put some of these things out. So bear with me and interact. If you see the Nerdball Podcast, if you see any social media stuff, give a like, comment, and subscribe to whatever you're seeing me on. I'm close, and hopefully at this point I'm at or above 200 subscribers on YouTube. And then hopefully I'm close to 1,000 on Instagram, because like I said last week, they changed it that you have to have 1,000 subscribers to go live. So I was doing a lot of lives there, and I really liked it. So let's get my personal Coach Melcher Instagram up to 1,000 subscribers. I can go back and doing lives. So again, thank you for always doing everything you can to help us here. And if you want to be involved in the podcast, just Gmail is the nerdballpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks, and enjoy the episode.
Hey there, I'm Madi Christoff, and this is the Nerdball Podcast.
This is the Nerdball Podcast with Lorenzo Melcher.
Awesome, Maddie. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. This is exciting.
I feel like it was a long time in the making. You were in Columbus for a while when we get to there, but we can never really match everything. And now you're back here, and now you're in person. So this is great. This is
great.
The best I could have hoped for. So
well, thanks. Yeah, no, it's really I'm really excited. I produced a podcast in my internship a long time ago.
Okay.
And I'm all into podcasts. I really like podcasts. That's definitely one of the things that when I'm driving, I listen to a podcast, or if I like background noise. So if I'm working, I'll turn on a podcast. Once in a while, I have found that it's hard to pay attention to the podcast and work. So then I'll just switch to music. I'm like, no, I actually want to know what's happening right now, so I'm going to listen to music instead. But
there's definitely podcasts I listen to where it can be just background noise.
Yes.
And there's other ones where I need to listen.
Yep.
So
yeah.
I get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Maddie, I always ask everyone, the first question is, what is something you nerd out about? Something you're really into, whether it's a hobby, something you just picked up, or something you've always done, but something that gets you away from just like the daily grind of your job or whatever, but just something that you're really nerding out about.
So, American Dad and Family Guy.
Okay.
Short answer. So long answer. Family Guy. My college friend introduced me to that in college, and my now husband was really into it too, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I love Family Guy." So I got into that, and then he got me into American Dad, and now we watch American Dad like every night before bed. And we've just gone through all of the seasons by now. I mean, they're still adding seasons, but it's just that stupid, like, thoughtless comedy that I love. Like, it just kind of that, like, decompress from the day, just whatever.
Yeah.
Let's just laugh about that. I love Roger on there. When I did my intro, I was like, oh, should I be like, what's up, guys? I'm Maddie from Maddie's World or something, because that's like part of what the newer Family Guy stuff. And that's immediately what came into my head. I'm like, wow, that's really sad. Immediately I'm thinking of Family Guy quotes.
But hey, if that's what you're into, like that, it's going to be top of mind, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I love Family Guy. And then, but yeah, otherwise, like, I don't really have a ton of hobbies right now.
Yeah.
I just got married and we just moved back to the area, and there was just a lot going on there for like 4 or 5 months.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
Family Guy's perfect. That's exactly the type of things that I look for when I ask that question.
Cool.
Yeah. Like, so I realize how long Family Guy has been on, because I remember getting, I think I still have it because my buddy got the first 4 seasons on DVD, and it's still in my basement. But we were 20 years old, and now I'm 40.
Yeah.
So it's been on a very long time, and it's cool to hear like people are like, yeah, I'm into it, or I just got into it or whatever. Because me knowing like all these things that that you get to see for the
Yeah.
first time, or in your cases, maybe 7 times by now,
Oh yeah. Oh, way over that. Way over that. And that is one thing I have found that if I do nerd out about it, I nerd out about it hard.
Yeah?
Like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm super into this. And so yeah, the Family Guy is one of those things. Otherwise, for a while there, I was really into Game of Thrones.
I've
Loved
never
Game of
watched
Thrones.
one episode of that.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Just warning, don't watch it around your kids.
Okay.
My dad told me that he started watching it. It was like, cool, don't talk to me about it. Unless if you get to the red wedding. And then call me when you got to the red wedding.
Because now I fast forward to that part.
No, that one was okay. That one's okay. That one I remember watching it on my laptop in my sorority house at OU, and it was like one of those. I just got into a deep dive. I couldn't stop, and it's 2:00 in the morning, and I'm sitting there like this, going, "Oh my god, I don't have anyone to talk to about this right now."
That's how I feel about sports.
Yeah.
I've had many reactions like that to sports, and there's a few times where my kids were real little, and I had to cheer in silence.
Yes.
Like because they're sleeping, but I still need to be excited about things. You
Yep.
know? So
Oh yeah.
I
know
get
that.
it.
I know that.
I think when you going back to talking, watching TV. I think part of that is something you share too, right, with your husband now.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can, whether you're having a great day or a bad day at work or just whatever you're doing. All right, this time at night is when we both settle down, we both hang out and we're with each other and we get to watch this show or whatever. For my wife and I, we watch TV or sometimes if there's a football game on. But we know at the end of the night, we're always sitting on the couch with each other. The kids are upstairs, either getting ready for bed or in bed already. And it's just like a thing you can count on.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's something that is just it is a little bit of a routine. Like, all right, yeah, let's go to bed and watch some Family Guy before we, really wind down for the night. Same thing with like this time of year, College Game Day.
Yeah.
That's always kind of been my routine since I was little.
Yeah.
Was Saturday mornings, football season. All right, get up, do what you need to do to get ready for the week. Whether that was doing some chores or something, and then turn on College Game Day.
Yep.
And now that we're adults, it's a lot more fun because we can just roll out of bed and then turn on College Game Day. But I'm up ready to go to watch College Game Day most weekends. So I mean, I was in a couple weddings last year, and we were getting ready. No, we were getting ready, and I'm like, all right, I'm turning on College Game Day, and they're all like, really? I'm like, yes. But that was the only thing. Otherwise, I don't like people who watch football games at weddings. That's lame.
Yeah, you get one day. Yeah, is it a big game? Probably. There was one time I was with Mateo when he was probably 3, and I'm a big Texas fan. And someone was like, "Hey, you're watching the Texas-Oklahoma game, which is their big rivalry." I was like, "No, I'm actually at Home Depot shopping right now."
Yeah.
There's just other things that happen, right?
Yeah, there's other things like OU played West Virginia last night, and
big game. They won.
They won,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I roll bobbies. I really wanted to go see it or watch it. And it was just one of those things where we went to the Black Swamp Arts Festival because our nephews and my sister-in-law and her husband were in town. And it was just kind of one of those things where it's like, we're going to go be with family.
Yeah.
So, football is life, but at the same time, life is life. So finding that balance too. But next week is the big one for me because it's OSU, OU.
Yeah.
And I am so ready to be a nuisance.
In podcast time, this game would have happened already by the time this episode comes out.
Okay.
But I never have. I think I went to Ohio State once when we were in high school for a football trip, and then Mateo and I went to the Texas Ohio State game last week. And speaking of game day, I got on game day. Kinda. It was if you knew it was me, you could zoom in and see it was me. But I work for the Metro Parks.
Right.
And I had my green Metro Parks flag with me, and I was flying it during the Pat McAfee kick that they do for
So
money.
you saw the corner of your flag.
You can see the whole thing.
Oh, you can?
When they were interviewing the kid that was kicking, it was right behind his head. And you could see the whole flag the entire time. If you look it up online.
I'll have to go look.
Yes,
yeah.
you can see the flag the entire time. And then even when he makes it and they're cheering,
Yes.
they cheer right in front of me. Again, I'm 2 or 3 people back, so you can't see me, but you see that flag waving. It was sweet. I was
I'll have
excited.
to look. Yeah, I wasn't looking for it. Now I'm going to look for it.
Nobody who's going to see a Metro Parks flag at College Game Day,
Hey, Mom, what's that flag? That's Toledo Metro Parks.
But it was cool. And then I was carrying it around the beforehand, and I turned to Mateo. I was like, "Are you embarrassed?" He was a little bit. I'm like, "All right, we'll be all right." But then once we saw it on TV, he was like, "Dad, you're on. You got it on. You got it on." So he was excited.
You got to rep the brand. I get it.
Yeah. So you mentioned the Ohio State OU game. Are you going to that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
So I'm really, really super excited, obviously, because I went to OU.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I grew up around Buckeye, the Buckeyes. My mom went to OSU and
Yeah.
everything. My dad's uncle played at OSU, with Archie Griffin and everything. So, like, I grew up a Buckeye. Then I went to OU, and my husband went to Toledo. And then I just kind of realized, like, nah, I'm a Mac fan.
Maction.
Yeah,
It's the
Maction, baby.
Second week in a row we've talked about Maction. Yeah.
Thank goodness, because I love it. And so yeah, I kind of, that's where I identified myself with college football. I was like, nah, I'm an Action fan.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm ready to go rep my Bobcats.
Nice.
It stings a little. So I just moved from Columbus. So my husband and I are from this area. Moved out there 3 years ago for his job, and then I ended up finding a job out there that I really loved in local government and the public sphere. And we lived downtown Columbus, and we were next door to Nationwide Arena in the Arena District.
That's awesome.
Our apartment faced our bar out there. It was an incredible experience.
Yeah.
We lived in that specific apartment building for 2.5 years, and we loved every second of it. It was fantastic. So when we were planning that, OU's going to OSU next year.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. We're gonna have, I have one of my best friends. Her husband played football at OU, and so I was like, cool. They're gonna come stay with us, and we're gonna go walk around the short north, and it's gonna be so fun. And then we moved. I got a new job and we moved. And I'm like, it stings because I still want to do that. But it's not our place anymore.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's really, it's weird because we wanted to move. We were ready to move. We had those conversations. But I'm like, oh, man. OU, OSU, like we could just be there. And then I came out that at Buckeye Superfest at the Shoe. My favorite artist, Tyler Childers, is headlining, and I'm like, shut up, Bob. It's like 7:00 in the morning, and I'm getting ready for work and walk out and look at my husband and went, did you see who's at Superfest this year? And then Flatline Cavalry is part of it too. That's one of the bands we saw at Kemba. We were like a 5-minute walk to Kemba. So just one of those things where it was like, it stings a little, but. OSU, OU, I'm really excited. We probably won't be going into the game. My friend, he's a big guy, and he's a football alum at OU, and he's like, I don't know if I want to deal with OSU fans.
Well, that's, I was afraid of that, especially taking my kid, and my son's 13, but he's 6 feet tall. He's big, and, and I don't want anybody like messing with him because he's still a kid, you know, like. So, but luckily for us, like everyone we sat around was real good. Like they cheered, cheer. That's what we're there for. You know, everyone was nice. Even before the game, when we were there 3 hours before the game, checking out game day, all that stuff. People were real nice. And then as we were walking back, we had to walk 20 minutes across campus to our car. That's when all the college kids are around. And they've been rowdy all day, drinking. No one said anything directly to us, but my son heard a lot of cool things.
Yes, it was a learning experience, I'm sure.
Yeah. But overall, it was a great experience. I had an awesome time. Now, if Texas would have won, it would have been a lot better. But it was an awesome time, a great experience.
You can't deny the game day experience there. It's unlike any other. And it really is just, I grew up with that atmosphere of that like camaraderie, the rallying like for your team. And it's just, it's indescribable. It's just one of those things that it's like, the European mind, I'm not really sure if they would be able to comprehend this, but gosh, it feels right to be Midwestern and be at a football game like this. Probably half the time freezing your ass off, but
so and tiny little bleachers,
and in little bleachers. We went to the OSU Toledo game right after we first moved to Columbus in 2022. My husband graduated from Toledo and was a male cheerleader at Toledo. And so I was like all in. I'm like, yeah, we're going. My mom came down and we were tailgating and stuff. And she was obviously in her OSU gear because she went to OSU. So it's like, oh yeah, absolutely, it's your school. And she was kind of nerding out about that, understandably so. And whenever she gets on OSU's campus, she just takes off. Like she's just going, and I told my husband, I'm like, watch this. She's just gonna take off, and sure thing, she's
is an
just
experience.
going. Yeah, yeah. But no, we had a good time. Then we get into the game, and we sit down, and then game starts, and Toledo makes their first touchdown, and my husband and I go crazy, like, yeah, here we go. And then this lady, an OSU fan, this lady taps him on the shoulder and goes, I'm happy for you. And after that, I looked and went, that's it. I'm being a nuisance. and so I mean, now I know what I'm watching when I'm watching football. So I know when to cheer, and I know that, like, all right, first down, yeah, I'm going crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not looking for that line that's not there when you're in person watching. And so, yeah, I know what to look for and everything, but anytime we got a first down and did, advance the ball, I went crazy.
Yeah.
I kept saying, don't sleep on Daquan, because I was the quarterback at the time. I was like, I don't care, like, because this is my team. I'm allowed to rep my team.
100%.
I'm not, being, I'm being a nuisance, but I'm not
You're
like
not vulgar, or you're not doing anything dumb.
No,
Yeah,
I wasn't yelling, anything like wrong. It was just like, I'm cheering on my team, and no one said anything. It wasn't like anything that was like people were upset that I was cheering for my team. They probably were annoyed, and that was my goal.
That's the point. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my goal. Like, cool, great, but. No, they weren't bad or
happy
anything.
for you.
Oh yeah, still to this day, I'll never forget that.
The way you said it, you could feel it you could feel it in your bones. Yeah.
And my husband's the nicest person ever. I would be more likely to get into a fight than he would.
Yeah.
So the fact that like he was just like, oh man, and I would have, oh yeah, no. I'm like, that's it. Don't mess with my people.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. You mentioned OU. What led you down there? What made you want to go to OU?
So I got my degree in journalism, strategic communications journalism. So that's what led me there. I remember making a visit with my dad, and went and got a tour of the journalism college.
And they have a really good journalism program, right?
Yeah. And I haven't really paid attention to like all that the college is doing now.
Yeah.
The College of Journalism, but. They were pretty reputable back in the day. To the point that, we sat through this kind of, not a lecture, but, they were telling us all about it.
Yeah.
And we came home, my dad and I came home from OU, and he looked at my mom and went, I really hope that she doesn't have her heart set on that, because I don't know if she can get in.
Oh, really?
Because what they were talking about, these kids have school newspapers, they have school broadcasting teams, they had... all these kinds of stuff that I didn't have at my school at the time. I went to Otsego High School. Now they have integrated those kinds of things. They have a podcast now. I was like, man.
Everybody does.
Yeah, everyone does.
But
so
it's a good experience.
Yeah, it was a good but everything I got through 4-H and Junior Fair out in Wood County. 4-H, for those that don't know, is an organization that's project based that kids from 8 years old to 18 as of January 1st, they learn all these different, skills, life skills, soft skills from these projects, whether it's baking, cooking, sewing. There's a laundry project, or a big one that's pretty like what you'll see at most fairs and everything are livestock projects.
Yep.
But I had a lot of experience in writing and everything with those experiences because I was on the Junior Fair board. I was the reporter, so I worked with the Sentinel, things like that. And that's what I had in my resume that I was able to send to OU. And I wrote all about my experience in 4-H and writing and how I found out that I really do like, reporting and that kind of stuff. And that's what got me in. So that was really cool, full circle moment. Definitely that was what I was really a nerd about back in the day. Still kind of am.
So did you visit other schools, or did you look at any other schools?
I visited Kent State.
Okay.
I like Kent State, but it just, something just didn't feel right connected to it. Visited OU, and I loved it immediately. Yeah. Even just beyond the journalism school, it's such a beautiful campus, and just everything about it is just feels right. Like it's Athens. I mean, you've been there. It's Athens. It even smells different. I have people that go down there, and I'll be like, oh, smell it for me. And they're like, what? I'm like, it smells different. And they'll come back and be like, you're kind of right.
Smell it for me.
Yeah. So, and also just a different scenery. I mean, like hills.
Yeah.
Hills. They have hills.
Yeah.
That's not something that this Northwest
can see.
Ohio we're
Yeah.
used to.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I could go stand outside in my parents' backyard and watch it rain from 20 miles away, and you can't really do that at OU.
Yeah.
So, that's definitely what led me there. And yeah, I loved it. You know, I went all through 4 years. COVID really put a wrench in things.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
But yeah, it was a great experience.
Yeah. My experiences down there are visiting my friends, all the different fests that we go to. There's the Number Fest, and then I never experienced a Halloween. I never went down there for Halloween. I always felt like it was. I was like, it seems like too much. So I never did a Halloween, but it was. I always had a great time when I was down there.
Yeah. No, Halloween is one of those that if you're a student, it is a pain because they have so much security around it because you get all sorts of random people from all over that come down there that they want to make sure the students are safe. Understandably so.
Sure.
So I remember my freshman year getting text messages from people from like my high school and stuff that were like, "Hey, can we stay with you for OU's Halloween?" I'm like, "No."
You're like, wait, I haven't talked to you in forever.
First of all, yeah, I haven't talked to you in forever. Second of all, no, dude, you missed the cutoff by a month because you had to get like if you were bringing anyone, you had to sign it off and submit it.
Oh, I didn't know
and
that.
then they had a wristband with the person's name and everything ready to go, and you could only have 2 people in your dorm with you, 2 extra people with you and your roommate at a time. You couldn't have more than that. Oh yeah. I mean, so yeah, the early 2000s really ruined it for us. So thanks a lot.
Okay, I never went there for that, but there was a lot of good times. My friend was in a fraternity, so I would go hang out with him when he was there and stay. I remember I just found it because I sent a picture of it to him. His fraternity had a beer pong tournament, and me and him won. And randomly, like a couple months ago, I was cleaning out some boxes, and there was the bracket in there from that tournament.
That's awesome.
It was so good.
Oh my gosh.
Good. Yeah, but it was always a great time down there and hanging out with my friends, and even the drive down there was always good because we never went by ourselves. You know,
No.
we always had a group of people we were going with, so it was awesome. So and I can see why you wanted to go down there. Like school aside, it is a beautiful place. You know,
It's so gorgeous. Yeah, definitely different than anything out here. Like I remember when my husband visited for the first time, he goes, "Mandy, it's so different." Because he went to Toledo, and you know, like
Toledo's in the city.
It's in the city. It's it's a different, it's definitely different, geographically.
Yeah.
And we were used to it. You know, we grew up going to BGSU, going to Toledo for different sporting things, things like that. And he's like, "Maddie, it's so different out here." And I was like, "I know. It has that college feel." I remember 'cause I have 2 younger sisters. My youngest sister, she's 6 years younger than me. And while I was at OU, I came home at one point. We were watching Monsters University. And, you know, it's got that brick. Obviously, it's meant to feel like Harvard or something like that. But I'm like, I remember sitting there and I went, "It looks kind of like OU." And my dad's like, "You're right." So, it's gorgeous down there.
How did you and your husband went to Toledo? You guys knew each other before college?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So we met in the 4-H junior fair program at Wood County.
Okay.
Yep. So we were the super of nerds into that. You found a program with the junior fair 4-H program. We were part of it.
As I asked you mentioned all these different things. Did you do a lot of things or did you focus on?
Yes. So I did a lot. I started out with I raised pigs.
Okay.
And I took care of those all summer and took them to the fair. You show them, which is basically like there's a judge and a ring. Again, this is something that like there are people out there in other worlds that are like can't comprehend this, and I totally get it.
Yeah, I was never involved. My dad was when he was a kid. He grew up in Texas, but they had it down there. He talked about it. My boss is from Delta, and his kids do it. So I'm well versed in it. But you're right. Like it is this thing where you're like, you would think you were speaking a different language when people were talking about it. Because people that grew up in Perrysburg or Toledo, that isn't that far away. Like there are these things that happen. You know, my daughter's friends with my boss's daughter, and the only thing they have in common is that their dads work at the same place together.
Yeah.
But they have no idea like about these other things.
No, and that's like my dad grew up in Point Place. My mom grew up in Bowling Green and was really involved in the Wood County Fair too.
Okay.
And that's kind of where it came from.
Yeah.
My dad, the one year, because 2-a-days always fell on 2-a-days always fell on the beginning of the fair.
Yeah.
So my dad coaching at Perrysburg High School, he was not able to, coaching football at Perrysburg High School, he was not able to go watch me show my animals.
Yeah.
So I remember my very first year, I took care of my pigs, and took them to the fair. I showed them, and the one show is showmanship, where you show off the judge is looking at how you show off your animal, because the ultimate thing is like, is your animal ready for market? What qualities the judge likes about it? But in this case, they're looking at the kid, like, what are you doing to make sure that your animal shines? And so I won that. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
Wood County's very competitive. They've got a lot of great families who have been there for a long time, but also just like are very well versed in the agricultural community and what the trends, because there are trends that go on with it too. So I remember calling my dad at 2-a-days. I'm like, Dad, I won. He's like, great. What's that mean? Well, I got a big blue ribbon and a plaque. And yeah. And he's like, okay, cool. Good job, Maddie Mae. So then a couple years later, when I'm in high school, my dad, it ends up, and the fair was just like this last year, that most of the fair was in July.
Oh,
because
okay.
just the way the calendar year
Yeah.
worked out. So my dad got to come, and he shows up wearing camo cargo shorts, Perrysburg football t-shirt.
Yeah.
He had one of his signature straw hats.
Yeah.
And he had our like family like camera, like Canon, nice camera strapped around his neck. And he's walking around taking pictures of everything. And at one point I had friends that walked up to me and said, "Who's the guy walking around with your mom?" And I went, "That's my dad." They're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's my dad."
Yeah.
Because they didn't know who he was, because football season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once August 1st hit, it was football season. So, anywho, but back to the question at hand. Yeah, so I was really involved in pigs. I showed some cattle here and there, cattle projects. It was whenever my uncle's family helped us.
I was saying, when you are showing these animals, or when you have these animals, are they at your house or are they somewhere else?
So when I had pigs and cattle, they were at my uncle's house. My
Okay.
mom's brother, they have a farm. We had things worked out with him where he knew what to feed them and everything. And because they say feeding a show pig is like doing an algorithm, and it always changes. So he took care of that stuff, and we would pay him for the feed and everything like that. And then I would come. I was in charge of maintaining, like, working on my animal, making sure that it's getting what it needs, exercise, baths, things like that, washing them. So that was part of my role, and getting it ready for the fair.
Yeah.
So that was all summer long. And then I was involved, and then eventually, and when I started out, I was involved in my 4-H group club, because there are clubs. So you're in a club, and you go to meetings, and you learn different things, like how to run a meeting correctly, how to prepare for interviews, because at the end of the summer before the fair, you go through an interview process.
Oh, okay.
And they talk to you about, what'd you learn from your project? What, you worked on your book. What's something that the book said that you found like really helped you? What would you change about your project? Things like that. And so I would go through, like, from the age of 8 on up to like 18, I would go to 3 to 4 different interviews a year.
Really?
I knew how to interview by the time I was 18.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's one of the most valuable things about this program. So
That's what Lillian twirls baton, and part of the pageant is an interview.
Yeah.
Like you do a pageant walk, in whether it's costume or dress, and then you sit down for an interview. And obviously, if you're 7, the questions are like, "Oh, what's your favorite color? Tell me about your school day." As you get older, then they're a little more difficult, whatever difficult is. But I like that part too. It's like, you have to be able to talk to adults.
Yes.
Yet properly. You have to be able to understand what they're saying and how to answer the question and all this stuff. So it's a cool thing. And I talked to the person who runs the group. Her name's Andrea, and how cool it is that this is something they do, because not everyone can sit down like we're doing right now and have a conversation. Like, it's a hard skill. So to be able to build that skill is great.
it is. It really is. And that's something that you'll see these skills the rest of your life come out. You're going to learn something, that someone prepares you for the interview. It's like, hey, next time, try talking about this. Next time, maybe talking less with your hands, only doing a couple gestures, things like that.
Yeah.
And you're going to remember it for the rest of your life. So I see it in everything I do now. So I got more involved after junior high, I became a 4-H camp counselor. 4-H camp is like a big deal. It's just kind of that fun, like you get to go to camp, you get to meet friends. You do some learning. Like we did an outdoor cooking was always a big deal. You learn line dances. So there's a big one called Footloose. That's like, if you do it right, they say it's equivalent to running a mile.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really fun. And things like that. And so I was a camp counselor. And then from there, I got other opportunities. Like I ran to be on junior fair board. I got on junior fair board. And that's where the junior fair board practically runs the junior fair shows. So when the kids take their animals to the fair, the junior fair kids are running those shows. They're handing out the ribbons.
Okay.
They're making sure people are in the right classes because it's broken up by classes, things like that. They're setting up the pens and the barns before people get to the fairgrounds. So my husband and I were both really involved in that. He was involved with the poultry barn. He was the nerdiest of chicken nerds.
Really?
So I hated chickens when we first met. They
Just 'cause
scared
they were
me.
around all the time?
They scared me when my aunt and uncle did have chickens. Like I remember they had a mean rooster that ran after me, and I don't remember if it attacked me or not, but it freaked me out.
Sure.
And and he was so into the chickens.
Yeah. That's funny.
So we became friends because we were in a group at 4-H camp together. So we helped mentor these kids, lead these kids throughout the week, keep them engaged. Yeah. And we just kind of had our group that eventually formed, and we were close friends. And then, go through high school, and we get more involved. And at one point, he becomes the president of the junior fair board. I'm the secretary. And at one point, I was the reporter. And, we just did all these things that ran the fair. We're communicating with adults, parents who are why did my kid's pen move? What's the deal here? Or hey, this person's stealing my feed. What's going on? We're sometimes irate parents, we're communicating with them at a really young age. And so it's crazy now. We did that, and wanted to do it too.
Yeah.
We were really into it. And then halfway through our senior year of high school, both went through a breakup and with other people, and we're just.
Did you guys go to the same high school?
No, so he went to Bowling Green High School. I went to Otsego High School, and so we only got to see each other at junior fair meetings and stuff, which eventually came once every other week or something like that. Yeah. We did see each other pretty frequently then. Rumor went around that Minnie and Jeremy are dating, and we were like, nah. And then a couple months later, it was hold on now.
Are we?
Maybe people have a point. And just went on a couple dates, and from there, it was oh, wait, people know what they're talking about. And then the fair came that next summer, and we were both really, really involved at that point. And we both ran for, so then there's a thing called the Junior Fair Royalty. So it's the king and queen. Basically, those are the kids who are being recognized for going above and beyond for the program. In most cases, there's some counties that just, here, you're a well-known name. Yeah. Congratulations. Yeah. In Wood County, it's very contentious. I beat out 25 girls after an interview process, something like that. And he beat out 15 to 20 guys. Okay. After an interview process, 2 completely separate judges. No one, his judges had no idea who I was. Yeah. My judges had no idea who he was. And they didn't know we were dating. So I won queen. He won king. It was a really big deal.
I bet, yeah.
It was in the Sentinel Tribune. It was it wasn't, but it was something I wanted since I was little. Sure. Because I grew up watching my cousins in the parade. My mom was the queen in 1990. I heard all the stories about that. That was my life goal. Yeah. I wanted to be the county fair queen. So when it happened, it was incredible. It's just, you hit that goal that you were looking for. And sometimes you hit a goal and it's okay, well, I thought I was going to be more fulfilled, but no, I'm not. For that, because I got to do it with my best friend, it was just even better. So I did, we went to different fairs, and we represent Wood County, and you talk to other fairs about what they do. We got, different ideas. You take that back. I started a very Gen Z of me. I started an account where people can see what the junior fair court is doing, because otherwise, like, you only saw them at the fair and that was it. They had no idea what else the junior fair was doing.
Well, I think that's an important part too. Is like you can have your goal of like, yes, I wanna be the queen, but all the hard work like leading up to it, all the stuff you do, and what you're talking about now, all the stuff after, like it isn't just like here it is. Yes, I want to. My goal is to wear a crown. I think people might see it that way sometimes, but you explained it very well. Like, all these things I've been doing since I was 8 are leading up to this moment. And if I wanted to do this, then I had to do all these other things if they were going to pick me.
Exactly. And I didn't want to just to stop there that, okay, I'm the queen now. I got my goal. That's it. I wanted to take it this step further. I had this opportunity that I wanted to see how I could leave it in a better spot.
Yeah.
And so that was my goal. And then Jer ran with it. And it was great. So then by the time we had what's called a victory lap, we both turned 18 after January 1st. So that meant that we had one more year. As of January 1st, we were 17.
Yeah.
We went to college and we had one more year that we could participate in the 4-H program.
Okay.
The year before, I won showmanship for pigs. I won, and I forgot. I won showmanship for pigs. He won for poultry. So that meant we went to the showmanship sweepstakes. We got to show all the different species that come to the fair.
Oh.
One of each species.
Yeah.
And so I showed chickens for the first time. He taught me how to do that.
Oh,
I had to show a
really?
goat. I don't like goats.
Wait, what's wrong with goats?
Oh, they're so dumb. They're just so squirrely.
That's what my boss's kids raised goats this year. Wait.
And pigs are very intelligent. People don't realize that. Pigs are intelligent. So I was used to that.
Yeah.
And goats are just not. So I struggled with that. And I just couldn't comprehend it.
Sure.
But pigs, it made sense to me. And then beef and dairy, horses, rabbits. So we both got to participate in that. And there's one thing about my husband is that he gives his all to things like that. And that's exactly what he did. So like I like to think that because I was with him, that I learned so much more because he was so into it that he's like, hey, come with me. I'm going to go practice this. And I would be like, oh, hey, I'm going to go practice this. And so we got to do that together. So
Nice.
He ended up winning champion showmanship sweepstakes and I got reserve champion. So like
Wow.
we kind of just took over the fair that year. It was kind of
The
ridiculous.
people are like, when are they done?
Yeah. People are like,
When are
get
they
these
aging
people
out?"
out of here. But it was so fun. And then the year after that, we were done. We hung up our crowns and stuff. But we still got to participate in the fair. So he took a beef cow because his family friend were like, hey, can you show our heifer, which is a female cow. It's a female bovine that has not had babies. It's not a cow. A cow is a female bovine that has had babies.
All right. I'm glad I was going to ask that.
I told the people.
Yeah, I saw. Yes, people.
Yes. So anywho, and then I was like, I don't know. I don't want to, I did really well with pigs last year. I want to end on a high note. And he goes, take chickens. I'll tell you how to do it. I'm like, okay. My dad was super excited because he never had livestock on our property, but he's like, I want to make a coop. Let's have chickens on our property.
I was going to ask you. I thought he had chickens at
So
some
that's
point.
the lore where we got our
Okay.
chickens was
Okay.
because my husband was like, Maddie, you should do chickens. So I did it. And I did everything you told me to do. And again, he's a nerd. So he was really into like,
Yeah.
hey, separate their feed more so they can walk more. Hey, because meat chickens, they are bred to eat poop. And
Eat
that's
them.
about it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then they die after 7 weeks. Not 7 weeks, 10 weeks.
Yeah.
So he was really into that. And I took him to the fair and won the whole damn show. Out of 175 kids, I had the best chickens.
Wow.
North of 6.
North of 6.
And someone even brought it up to me the other day, like, hey, I heard a story about you at work. And they're like, heard you won the whole poultry show in 2017. I'm like, or 2018. I'm like, another thing that the European mind would not be able to comprehend.
How do you then at one point do you stop talking about it?
I don't know if I ever will. That's the hard part.
Well, like this telling stories is cool, but like, does it ever like fit into like a resume for you?
Okay, that's a good question. Yes,
Okay,
it does.
okay.
It does end. That was after I was done, and all the other, interviewing skills and the awards I got, like, I did for a little bit add Junior Fair Queen in there, and, you can put in like your awards and accolades, how you got that. So I was able to put in there, I was very involved in the Junior Fair program where I learned soft skills like interviewing, things like that. But when it came to like applying for an actual job, that wasn't like a barista or something like that. But, to be a community affairs coordinator, public information officer, I didn't include those in there because it wasn't it wasn't relevant to that job. I was able to talk about them in my interviews, and I was able to say, like, I learned how to do this stuff at an early age. So it's ingrained in me. Otherwise, in a resume, it doesn't really come up.
I think the stories are important, and keep telling stories. As your nephew gets older, like these are the things you can talk about, or when they're doing, let's say, your nephew, or maybe it's a little cousin or somebody's doing something that you did, and you're like, well, I was the best at that. Like as an aunt or a cousin, you can, get on them a little bit. Like, you need to be better. This is where our standard is, and you need to be
exactly. And that's and like I said, I grew up hearing my mom's stories about Junior Fair and being a camp counselor and stuff. And I heard my cousin's stories about all that kind of stuff growing up, because I was really close to my family on my mom's side and on my dad's side, but my mom's side were involved in that stuff.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, like it is that, and that's why I was so into it, because I heard, all of those stories, and I'm like, this is cool. I really want to be part of this. Yeah. And I was so into it. I remember just being so excited to get started when I was in third grade as a little 8-year-old. So, that's why we came back here. We decided to make the decision to come back out here because we knew we wanted to raise our family out here eventually. So, and we knew it was dependent on my job. My husband's an engineer, so he can kind of go anywhere. I wanted to stay. I do communications in local government.
Okay.
And I knew out in Central Ohio, there are all sorts of opportunities out there because they have city on city on city into one. Out here, you have the city of Toledo, you have the city of Perrysburg, you have the city of Bowling Green, and then you might have, I don't think Tondagony has
communication
PIO, so I really wanted to stay in that. So it was dependent on my job, and I found an opportunity and said, hey, I think I should take it. And he goes, I think you should too. And now we're back. We're with our families. And we get to eventually make those plans that someday our kids can do that.
Yeah. And again, the stories, whether your kids, any future kids you may have, or again, other family members, whether they decide to do those things that you did or not, their stories are important because it informs them, like, oh yeah, this was a cool thing. My parents did this and now I want to do it. Or, my parents did it and it was cool, but it's not my thing and I kind of want to do this. Or maybe they do the fair, but they want to do the knitting or baking as opposed to animals, right? So there's all these different things, especially with the fair, that they can get into, but the stories are what's important. People would always ask me, what if your son doesn't want to play football? Well, he doesn't want to play football. That's not going to change the fact that I love coaching. I'm still going to coach. Now it just so happens that he really loves football, but very similar to you, like he grew up around it. Like he almost had no choice to have some infatuation with it.
Yes.
Now, whatever that level is, it is, but he was always there. So, but again, the stories, and that's why I like talking to people. The stories are so important and they're so cool to hear. And, I've asked your mom to come on here a couple times. She always jokes, like, you never asked me. I go, I've asked you before. You just never made it over here.
Jenny, babe.
Yeah. So, but those are what's important. And I love hearing that kind of stuff, especially for you, where it directly impacted you. Here's my mom's stories. Now here are my stories.
Yeah. And I gotta say, I'm so jealous of your kids right now because they're living my childhood.
Yeah.
What's it like to live my childhood? Isn't it great? Oh my gosh, because and like when Dirk took over the head coaching job at Perrysburg, right after my dad, I remember telling my mom, seeing his first game and his kids out there, and I got him. My sisters and I got emotional because we're living our childhood. That's our childhood because we grew up there at Steinecker Stadium not every Friday night. They traveled. Yeah, but for the most part, you got up on Fridays, went to school, and then came home. 2015 season, we had Taco Bell every single Friday before it was superstition. They were on a roll, so we couldn't deviate. And we had Taco Bell, and then we'd go to the games. And, and that's one of those things that people ask me, like, oh, why you didn't have to be into football, like, just like, your son. And I said, yeah, but it happened. How could you not, after witnessing that, especially at Perrysburg, to witness that, that energy and just the camaraderie around it. It's been everything to me since growing up. So like I always tell people, like, that was so cool about my childhood was I had two of the F's. I had farmers on my mom's side, then I had the football on my dad's side. Yeah. And it was, we got really into it. Like I said, college game day on Saturdays. And whether or not, depending on the outcome of the game, sit and talk to dad about it, or just let him go for a little bit, let him drink his coffee.
I did enjoy when we would have coaches meeting. I did enjoy going to your guys' house and eating food and hanging out there, and that was fun, especially when your dad hired me as the freshman coach, and then eventually asked me, hired me as a varsity coach, like to be a part of that. I was a 7th grade coach for a while and a volunteer, like seeing this from afar, and I was always there. And I used to joke with your dad, like, I would go through old emails every once in a while. I was like, man, I was really annoying. Like, I was like, hey, whatever you need me to do, or if you need me to do this or that. He goes, you were just persistent. I go, it just sounds annoying to me. But, like, just to be a part of that. And like you said, now my kids, Mateo was a water boy. Now he's a ball boy. Now he won't be able to do that anymore because he'll be a freshman next year. So now, he's going to play football for the high school. Lillian likes football for a different reason. She likes going because I coach, but she also twirls baton, and she likes seeing the baton twirlers in the band, So, like, it's cool that how they experience the same thing, but different,
Right, exactly. And that's, like, I grew up, I wanted to be a cheerleader because I watched the cheerleaders every Friday night. And I remember at my high school, they weren't really into pep rallies and, like, the student section stuff. And I'm like, guys, why not? This is so awesome. And then when we played Masham, Washington. Yeah. And I had a couple of the kids in my class that came to watch. And I remember one of them saying, I get it now.
Oh, yeah.
It's a different energy out here. Yeah. And I said, I'm like, this is what I grew up with. And so that was why, like, I got into cheerleading, because I like to be able to lead that kind of stuff and push that, like, okay, let's get excited, everyone. So, I can totally see that. And it's so cool that, to see that your kids can do that. They can pull out what they like about it. And also just, I've seen that before. I mean, like, Drew Sims was very similar, where he was the water boy, then he was the ball boy, and then he moved up, and then eventually became quarterback. And, so it's cool to see those stories too. We called it our football family for years and years and years.
Very much so.
And it is a family. I mean, like, you guys were always there for, like, some of our darkest times, with my sisters have a rare genetic disorder, and there was a lot of, like, what's going on with that? Or when my mom and I got COVID, and my mom we weren't sure if she was going to make it out of it. I mean, people dropped off food, literally just was leaving it at our doorstep. Yeah. And communicating with dad, and it was just it was so cool to see the community around that.
Well,
so.
There we just had a Facebook memory come up because my brother passed away during football season 5 years ago, and that was the same thing. Like, it was during COVID, and I texted the coaches like, hey, this is what happened. I don't know if I want to be there to and come to find out, for me, that was the best place for me to be, was at practice. I didn't go to work, but I go to practice because I felt better there. I felt good there, and then coming to my brother's funeral and all that stuff, and even up to a couple years ago, when my sister and mom were taking care of your grandparents. Like,
I know, yes, and exactly, and that was my thing. Is like I don't even think I even have gotten to talk to her mom until, like, about that, because that was when I was still in Columbus. I wanted to be like, I can't tell you how much my family loves you. Yeah. And how much my grandparents loved her. And that's, and back, and I do want to go back to, your rise into Perrysburg football. My dad, that was one of the things that he talked about, he's very open that he's like, I loved his work ethic and his dedication, and that, like, he was willing to give his time, give his effort to these kids, but also grow as a coach too. And I think that's something my dad's always been big and preached about is, be coachable, be that someone forever. That's like, you can learn these things, you're always learning. And like, put yourself in tough situations, or like how you come out of tough situations. He always measures that out of people. So yeah, he definitely thinks highly of you, and also probably a lot for comedic relief too. I just remember he's just so funny.
Yeah, that's something I definitely would not have said about me in high school, where I had my group of friends, but I was very shy.
Really?
Oh yeah, I had my group. Like I said, I was way outgoing with them. Never talked to girls. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do
Wow.
it until I got out of even in college. Like it was tough for me. But at some point, whatever flip switch that got flipped, I don't know. But yeah, it was something I definitely had to work on. But thank you for saying that. It is your dad was a big reason on where I'm at. And I talked to him not even about coaching stuff. I definitely talked to him about that kind of stuff. But there's three coaches that helped shape me. Is your dad, Mr. Henches was my track coach, and then my dad. My dad was my baseball coach for us, and I get to take all these little things and try to remember, like, all right, well, what had they done here, or what? Like, if I don't know a lot of what's going on, like Drew Sims was my first freshman class. My dad coaching baseball, he would come up to us and be like, hey, I don't know a lot about baseball. So if you guys if you guys know things, let me know and we can work on these things. And that was the same thing. Like Drew would come up to me and be like, hey, we should probably do this, or we should work on this in practice or this. I'm like, cool. I'm learning like you're learning,
Yeah.
So like just being open and continuing to learn, like you said. And even your dad, when I first became a varsity coach, he's like, do any drill you want. You'll learn that if it's good, and the kids will tell you if it's good.
Yeah.
And like just he gave me a lot of advice, and I will be I forever appreciate him for that. Like and even now he lets me use this room to watch freshman football film. So he's still helping me.
Probably because he kind of likes it a little bit too. He likes football. I mean, the dude loves football.
Oh yeah.
So that's why he likes this BCSN gig too. I know for a fact that he gets to talk about football.
I also purposely tried to not talk about your dad in football because I want this to be about you. This podcast is about you, and I don't want it to be like, well, your dad or football or this or that, So I wanted to focus on you because I think that's important. I think your whole life has been, there's some people that only know you because of football, and you're a totally other person besides that. But now, obviously, talking, I know that's a big part of your life is football.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that, but no, it is a huge part of who I am. I mean, so much of who I am as a human in my work ethic is because of football, because of my dad and what I learned from him. So no, I own it. It is something that I'm like, I mean, even to the point that I don't like going to watch football games at bars all the time or like in people's living rooms because I'm like, who's there? Who knows what about football? Am I going to listen to them yelling at the TV because, they're running the play clock down because they want to run the clock and everything? And then, or are they going to like yell because they're kicking or something like that? And I'm just like, I don't want to deal with that. If it's someone that actually doesn't know what they're talking about, not that I know what I'm talking about, but I know what to look for.
A little bit, yeah.
And so like, even to that, then I'm like, who am I going to watch this with? Because if it's someone that's going to be insufferable, I don't want to deal with it. If they're trying to be a fan, that's good for them, but I don't want to deal with it. So no, it is a huge part. And a lot of it too, in the parallels of how, my husband and I met. He went to Bowling Green High School, and I'll never forget the day that he went, wait, your dad's Matt Kriegel? And I went, yeah. And he goes, why I knew your last name, but I didn't put two and two together. That's your dad? Yeah. And he goes, oh my gosh, I can't look at you the same. And then when we started dating, he came over. We were getting ready to go out on a date. He came in to see my mom, Jared did, and my dad was sitting there. And of course, Jeremy was always wearing Bowling Green Bobcats, and Bowling Green beat Perrysburg that year.
Oh,
so that was a big deal. And that was before we started dating. And Jeremy came in, and we're talking, and then my dad goes, Jeremy, you come into my house, and you wear that school. But you know what I've never seen you wear? An NLL championship t-shirt. I have 4. I'll let you borrow one. And my sweet husband just goes, you're right, Mr. Kriegel. I don't have one of those. I'm like, Dad, I like this one.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, here we are now. My husband's probably one of my dad's favorite people at this point because they bond so much too about football, about Ohio athletics. I mean, we call it the 6 degrees of Ohio athletics because if you know one person, you're going to know 1,000 other people. About their upbringing and everything too, and it's just men's stuff. He used to at one point, because my husband's really into like he smokes meats and
Yeah.
stuff like that. At one point he would tell people like, yeah, I talked to Maddie's boyfriend about smoking meats. Good God, talk
He's
about
happy.
a nerd.
He's proud.
He is proud. And he did. I think he did all have a little bit of did have to judge how well. Not that if Jared was a good football player, but I think it did help that he's like, yeah, he was a good athlete.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, he was a good athlete, and he's just judge a character too. But he's
Sure,
like, he's a good kid. So, I do think he did talk to Dirk Connor about my husband at one point. Like,
Oh,
good kid.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I bet he did.
Yeah,
did. So,
yeah.
and Dirk is a lot like my husband too. I see a lot of those parallels
Yeah.
too. So, it's so cool to see. But yeah. No, football
That's
is
fun. That's
so. Again, like I said, watching your kids grow up on the field and everything, I'm like, that was my childhood.
Yeah,
It's so cool to see.
It's fun for me, and I'm sure it was a great time, for your dad too, having you guys out there, and it is something that I think about all the time. And since I'm not a teacher, I'm just holding on. At some point, I might promote myself out of being able to coach, But for now, everything's going okay, and I'm holding on until Mateo gets to high school, and and Lillian will hopefully be a twirler for the band in high school, so I get to see all these things, and I like to be on the field for that kind of stuff.
Right, yeah.
I might not directly coach him right now. I'm the freshman coach, but I can be there, and I can be the first person to hug him if he's sad or to cheer with him if he's excited, and then we'll go see his mom and our parents and stuff. But it is a very unique experience that not many people get to enjoy, and I'm looking forward to it. So,
Do you find that, like, because there was one thing that I found that I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do that after my grandpa passed away. We left such a legacy with so many people as they were, growing up as athletes, as students. And I was like, I don't know how I'm ever going to do that because I chose to not go into education and things like that. And then, being in education and coaching is a lot easier, as you know, because I coached cheerleading for a year at Mommy High School. That was a whole thing.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, my mom looked at me and went, "Is that allowed?" And I went, "Yeah,
Sure.
I'm very free
Here we
will."
Go Panthers.
Yeah. Anywho, so she, have you found that, like, were you searching for that? Because that was one thing that I was looking for, was like, how am I going to make an impact? Like, my dad's made an impact. My grandpa made an impact, like, and my mom made an impact on the junior fair program, or like even her students, she's a very popular class, an elective class at Petersburg High School. How am I going to follow in their footsteps and leave a legacy? And that's something that, like, do you find that with working in public, parks and the public sphere, that you are able to do that a little bit?
Yeah, great question. 100%. I feel that all the time, because obviously we run our parks for the public.
Right.
They're free. They can use them whenever they want. And so that's our job, and I do feel good about that. I feel like I'm providing something. And then when camps come in, like, to use our spaces, I feel like just my office is it's called the Enrichment Center, and that's where we have a lot of offices, and then a big room where our programming department runs camps. And to hear, like, the kids out there, and there's some kids that don't get to see worms, so they interact with, like, worms for the first time, see the park for the first time, like all these things. So I very much feel like, yes, this is very fulfilling to see, and not only that, but then running my staff, like it's great to when I have a young staff, and when they do something they've never done before, and they go, "Hey man, I was able to figure this out," and, like, I feel good about that too. So I do get all of that, and then I do separate that from Perrysburg,
Right?
because Perrysburg is my home, and I do definitely feel like whatever I can do. I even told Dirk, I said, before he asked if I want to be the freshman coach, I've always told him, like, I'll be anywhere you need me to be in this program to help the program the best way possible. And then he asked me to be the freshman coach this year, and he's like, "You don't have to." He goes, "You're doing a great job varsity. I'll keep you up here if you want, but I think you'll really enjoy it." And I was like, "No, I know I enjoy it. I did it before." So I told him, I said, "This is what needs to help, and it works out good for me. I get a little bit extra time off on Saturdays, so, but it isn't more of like there was a question of, like, yes, how do I make an impact? Because I know I am. Now I just got to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. And that's, I'm still pretty young in mine, but, like, that was something that I was really looking for, is like, I see that, how am I going to do that? And then I found that it is, like, coming home to my hometown. I'm like, I can do that now. I can, okay. I see where we're going with this now, because, being out in Central Ohio, I worked for the city of Dublin, and I loved it out there, but I had no connection. I didn't really have people that I was like, oh, hey, yeah, that like residents that I knew, other than the ones who were the frequent flyers and complained a lot.
Yeah.
But out here, I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. I see it now that I can like really help make the city, what it is and better for generations and generations. Continue the legacy of PGSU students that will choose to stick around because they love the city and things like that. But yeah, I feel like that's the cool thing about, because we both work in public, in the public sector, is that there is a legacy there that we are able to leave, and there is one that we can work toward. It is a greater good that is, while private sector, there might be some that you can, but you see so much of it in action in public work, and that's what I really love about it. And I just felt like you and I had that similarity of like probably somewhere in our life what we encountered led us to that. Specifically.
As soon as when I became the freshman head coach years ago, the first time, I was like, ooh, I like this.
Yeah.
I like being in charge. I like directing people. I like celebrating their successes. Like I like all that stuff. And, most great coaches, they never say I. It's always like, hey, we or the team did a good job, and being able to do that and highlight them and highlight whether it's my staff at the Metro Parks or the teams that I'm coaching, like that's a great part of it too. Like you want these people to succeed, whatever you're doing, because of your guidance or your help, that's happening. So that's what I like too. Or I'll never get tired of hearing, "Hey, coach." And I turn and it's a kid I coached 10 years ago. Like just it's awesome to see. And then I had a conversation with Dirk, and we had at one game last year we had like 10 or 12 football players that had graduated. And I was like, look, I just want you to know, like, the reason they're here is because of you and the other coaches. Like, this is why. If they didn't like you or didn't like what was going on or didn't like the program, they wouldn't be here.
Right.
I said, this is just understand how big of a deal this is. Always, every Friday, there's some sort of alumni standing on the sideline because of what Dirk did and what your dad did. Like, continued this success. And now these kids always want to come back and see and be part of it. And sometimes coach. Right now I have Matt Stacy is one of my assistant coaches who was on that 2015 team, and Lucas Pollock, who just graduated last year, was coaching, and he had to leave. He was in the military, but like those kids that come back because they want to be a part of something they loved,
Yeah, absolutely. And the term coach, like beyond after that person is your coach, it is, I find it like a term of honor, like honor, endearment, like. That was my coach, and so that's like something that I even found that like my coaches that I still keep in touch with, I will always refer to them as coach. Like, coach, how's it going? Yeah, exactly. It's just that term. I mean, Lee Corso, they still call Lee Corso coach.
Yeah.
Coach Corso. Wow. But that was the thing. It's like, it is that term of endearment, that term of honor that like, I respect you for what you have done for me, and you're always going to be that coach to me. So I find that so cool too. Like, it's just, like I said, Ohio athletics, sports, it fits into everything in your life too.
Yeah, so. Very much so. Well, Maddie, I appreciate you coming out here. We've chatted before, but never, for an hour. So this was awesome.
I know.
It was great. And, at some point, we didn't even talk about your job. So at some point we talk about that. And if there's anything, that I could do, I love, social media or podcasting or anything like that, or if you guys need help with anything, or even if you want to come on and be like, hey, we have some things going on, I just want to talk for 15 minutes about what we have going on. Like, I'm more than happy to do any of that kind of stuff.
Oh, great. Thank you. Yeah. We'll have to do a part 2 because, I love my job. I love what I do. And it's been quite the climb to get out here too. We'll definitely have to do a part 2 about that lore, but, otherwise, no, thanks for having me. This has been great. Yeah, I know. Isn't it so great that it's like you and I have always crossed paths. We know each other, but never got to sit down and have a conversation as humans.
Yeah. So this is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for downloading this episode of the Nerdball Podcast. If you want to reach out or be on the show, just search the Nerdball Podcast on any social media. If you want to email us, that is thenerdballpodcast@gmail.com. And of course, there's always YouTube, so you can go on there, subscribe to the Nerdball Podcast, and watch the podcast every week. As always, thanks to Real JP Multimedia, Cuttlefish Graphics, Big Daddy Graphics, and Perrysburg Junior High STEM Lab for always supporting the podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.